guess I'm one of those people that doesn't really see a lot of difference between them. The tools, are basically the same, talent and craft and things like that. I would suggest maybe the real difference between them would be that fine arts, at least in the past couple of centuries, has been more about self-expression, whereas graphic design is more expression for a client, where you're using the same kinds of tools, but for a slightly different purpose.
I think graphic design and fine art are similar in that they're both trying to convey a message. Graphic design obviously is trying to convey a specific message to its audience members. It expects to evoke the same reaction from the audience, where fine art, I feel like it's subjective. It likes to elicit emotion, so that message is definitely going to affect individuals differently.
There's definitely some overlap as far as composition and principles of design, but for the most part, graphic design has a goal. It's usually to communicate a message, whereas fine art generally is trying to invoke a feeling.
Fine art skills are extremely important in graphic design. I think the translation between the two kind of comes in when you start to think about things like rough drafts, having to sketch and be able to articulate to a client really quickly your idea. I also think that it's really important for you to be able to take the skills that you are good at in fine art and be able to apply those.
Graphic design to me is commercial. It's all about commercialism, whereas fine arts is your personal artistic expression. With graphic design, you sort of have to remove yourself and realize that it's about your client's message to their target audience.
Graphic design requires that there exists a client or a buyer, and the resulting work in graphic design is heavily influenced by that client's desires, needs, their voice, their personality, their brand.
The two have a lot to do with communication and how you present ideas and how you communicate an idea or a feeling or a personal message. In terms of the difference between the two, I think design is more geared towards communicating a commercial message or communicating a message for a client, versus fine art, which tends to be more focused on personal communication.
Comparatively, fine art is guided by the artist's personal tastes or lack of taste. It's guided by the artist's inspiration, whatever moves them, and is more often than not done without commerce in mind.
When you're creating fine art, it's your expression and just your take and your view on the world, and if people buy into that, then that's great.
They definitely overlap. Graphic design processes and the elements of design are very applicable to being a fine artist. Concepts start a project. You follow along with a good set of rules and plans and guidelines, so it's very interchangeable between graphic design, fine art, architecture. Anything that has to do with taking an idea, turning it into a concept, and then a final product.
Is there crossover? Absolutely. You have to apply design skills when you're creating fine art, and graphic designers can absolutely take their painting and drawing skills and apply that to their graphic design.
Graphic design is really art with a purpose. It can be beautiful and creative, but ultimately it has to solve a communication problem for the client.